Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic/Non-Classic. This is episode number 778 and Doubleshot number 642. Two X-Men trades. First one is X-Men Legends, Volume 4, Hated and Feared. Like it says on the cover, the best of X-Men Unlimited. Yeah. And this one collects various stories because, well, X-Men Unlimited was basically kind of like an anthology book in a way, where it had like more than one story. It had like usually two stories in it. These are stories that are published in these issues of X Unlimited. Volume 1, mind you. 31, 35, 36, 38, 40, 42, and 46 to 49. And there's a bunch of different artists on here. Yep. These are from the talents of Brian Starfleeze, Michael Golden, Jeff Jensen, Greg Rucka, Chuck Austin, Stephen Grant, Sean Phillips, Paul Smith, Jay Torres, Bruce Jones, Ian Eggingen, John Smith, yeah, seriously the guy's name, Adam Warren, Bill Willingham, the creator of Fables, John Totem, Derek Robertson, Clayton Henry, David Finch, Takashi Miyazawa, Jason Nogueza, Simon Busey, Beastly, Joe Cadillo, Rick Mize, Chris Cross, Richard Ennisford, and Kelsey Shannon. Yeah, various stories over the course of these issues. One of the stories is actually sort of the first time that Mystique and Sabretooth met. Yeah, he just met sort of at random, and then of course became a couple, and then of course around the course of the story she says, oh yeah, she's pregnant, and then she just tricks him to killing a ship's captain, and of course somehow he gets trapped, he gets arrested somehow, and she sort of betrays him. Yeah, they're perfectly fine now. But there's other stories in here. The first one in here is all about Rogue. Yep. Where she hears something, flies all over the place, crashes the cars, and eventually she runs into, bursts into an apartment. That's the home of a child molester. Yes, a child molester. And because she's seeing what the guy's doing, she beat the living crap out of him. He even went to jail for it, too. That was the first story. Second one is all about Cyclops. In a story called Hindsight, where he acts like frickin' Daredevil. Thinks that, oh yeah, he can take out these guys, he got his glasses on. It's no story. Next one is called The Blob. This one, like I said, it's all about the Blob. It's a solo story for him. It's him going to Western Town. Basically, people don't like the fact he's big and, well, gets a fight with a bull. Basically, he's at rodeo. Yep. Next one's the David Finch story. This one's about a kid named Joel who looks like a girl. Yeah, tell me, even though it's supposed to be a boy, how can this not be a girl? By the way, this kid's dressed. You know, black nail polish, black hair, fishnet stocking sleeves. Yeah. Apparently this person has got like special powers. Apparently it's affected by touch. Oh yeah, and for some reason his mother doesn't like the X-Men calls Jean Grey a mutant witch. Oh yeah, and apparently his mother doesn't have a problem with the fact that he is mutant. Yep. Next one is a story that doesn't feature any of the X-Men. It's just a story called Endgame, End of the Line, where it's just a mutant who's kind of like I said, freakazoid in here, who basically possesses people's bodies. Yep. Next one's all about Beast. Yep. Where he finds a mutated cat, and he treats it and thought it's always an action mutant. No, it's actually a mutation. Yep. Next one's all about Kitty Pryde. This is a Greg Rucka story about her, well, running into a cop who looks almost exactly like Peter, and she sort of basically gets along fine with him. Next one, Animals. This is basically the Sabretooth Mystique story. Yeah, the first time they officially met. The one after that is a story all about Jean Grey. Yep. Of kind of how she first joined the X-Men. Yeah. So it's kind of setting place prior to the events of X number 1 from Jean Grey's perspective. Luck of the Dragon, yeah, like the story said, it's all about him. Yeah, Kitty's best friend / pet, who she got from Alien World. Yeah, this creature's popped up now and again. Hasn't popped up in quite a while, actually. A lot of time when this dragon is showing up, usually he likes hanging on Kitty Pryde's shoulder. Yep. That's basically where he is. He's an alien dragon. Weapon of choice is all about Wolverine. This is the same Beastly story. Yeah, he's a very good artist. I think this is one of the last ones. Let's see. Then we have a story focused on Psylocke, where one of the stories she does in here, she kicks in a particular way. It's like, wow, this seems physically impossible. Yeah, take a look at that pose. Yeah, and this is one of the pose. This is actually what they put in front. Yeah, I'm not kidding. They pulled directly this image from that page. Yeah, for a story focused on Psylocke, man, this artist just does a pretty good job drawing. The face really is kind of a turnoff. The next one, which doesn't have a title, it just focused on it's a story featuring Wolverine and Shauna the She-Devil in the Savage Land. And also, he gets a chance to kiss Shauna on the lips. Yeah. I'm a little surprised that he didn't say at the end that telling Shauna, because she is a married woman, was like, I think Wolverine just doesn't care. Just feel like making out with a hot woman. And I'm surprised that Wolverine didn't tell her that Kazar owes him a punch in the face for that. Yeah. It's an interesting little story, and I really enjoyed it. Next one is all about Mystique, the Chuck Austin story. This story is essentially put, when I looked at this thing, yeah, this story is a backdoor pilot to the short-lived Mystique series. Yeah, she had a series for a couple years. I think it was written by Brian K. Vaughan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, it's all about Mystique. Next one, quick man start of it. This one's all about Nightcrawler and Dazzler. Just a quick little story on Nightcrawler. Wearing his Chuck Austin era costume. Yeah, a lot of people were not fans of the leather costumes. Yeah. That's why as soon as John Cassaday became the artist for Astonishing the X-Men, he basically, for a lot of the members in the group, he got rid of those costumes and gave much more better looking costumes, those ugly pieces of leather. And that cross story is the last one. The stories in here are pretty interesting. My personal favorite story of all these ones, I love the Wolverine and Shauna one, and I love the Sabretooth Mystique one. The Rogue one was not my personal favorite. It's just her beating up a child molester. Okay, fine. He got what he deserved, and he got arrested for what he did. Yeah. I mean, did that story really be published? I don't know. But this is actually pretty good. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. The other side I don't give it a 9.5 because, well, it's various stories, and they can vary on people's perspective. Next one is X-Men Bishop's Crossing. Collecting Uncanny X-Men 281, 293. Excuse me. And X-Men Volume 2, Number 8. Well, the writing here is done by Jim Lee. Wallace Portico. I'm not sure if I pronounced the person's name properly. John Byrne and Scott Lobdell. The writing is done by that second writer, John Romita Jr., Jim Lee, Andy Kubert, Tom Rini, and Rick Tyler. Yeah, mostly this is, well, the Uncanny X-Men, the first year of the comic post Chris Claremont. Yep, this is like right afterwards. They even have the issue of X-Men Volume 2 in here, which is nice to throw in here. But this, I do have one problem with this trade. They don't throw in the Ghost Rider crossover in here. Yeah, I'm like, that's a little weird. I mean, they threw in the issue from X-Men Volume 2, but they don't throw in the crossover with Ghost Rider, which took up like 2 issues of Ghost Rider and another issue of X-Men. Yeah, and this basically involved the X-Men going to New Orleans battling the Brood. I mean, you read this like, cool, the X-Men are going to go to New Orleans to help out Gambit, and it happens on panel. Yeah, it's really weird. And Bishop does not show up in the first issue, because that's mainly about the X-Men just battling some people who took over the Hellfire Club, and then he appears in issue 282. It takes a little while, and eventually he joins the X-Men, and he knows who Storm is right away because, yeah, he's from the future, but he's not stupid. He read up like a lot of these people already, and he calls Storm the legendary Storm. And for Cyclops, the legendary, yeah, he has a lot of respect for the X-Men, and it's a good thing he knows a lot about them. Like, he knew who Cyclops was, he referred to him as the first X-Men, which is true. He was technically the first person Xavier recruited to become part of the X-Men. And I do like how Lobdell later on writes him in here. He writes me a pretty interesting character. And it's interesting, though, they actually put him in. And get this. Do you know how many appearances Bishop's made in the comics? 2. He was popped up for a few episodes of the X-Men animated series, and he showed up in the X-Men Days of Future Past. Excuse me, and that's it. Yeah. This by far is really good, and even got some stuff with Storm and Forge. Yeah, and then 289, yeah, that is just a sort of a in-story sequel to the classic Claremont story from issue 189, which was a double-sized issue, by the way, of their love story. Yep. But this is really, really good. It's interesting, though, they did this, and I think that the next thing that came right after this, I think it was... Let me look this up here. I think there was one event that came right after this. Let me take a look at this. Oh, and also in here, they do make a reference to the Events Massacre with Warren his wings. Yeah. I don't know why in the world this might make me call Bishop's Crossing. He's not on the cover of the trade. I'm like, with a name like Bishop's Crossing, you would think they would use a cover like, oh, I don't know. Let's see, what would be a good bear cover? How about this cover? Or any other cover that features, oh yeah, because, well, it's the X-Men trade, we gotta feature the X-Men on the damn cover. And plus, it's the first issue post Chris Claremont. I have heard from Scott Lobdell he was loosely involved behind the scenes, but he wasn't like on the books themselves. Excuse me. No, he wasn't. Let's see. I think it was. No, I don't think it was Stu Change. It was Miron's like a no. Let's see. I think this was the next major event. Yeah. The next major thing that came right after these particular issues was Executioner's Song. Yeah, the storyline that later started the recurring storyline thing ran through the X books throughout the 90s, the Legacy Virus. Excuse me. The issues in here are really, really good. Highly recommend to people who are X-Men fans. If you're interested in starting the Scott Lobdell era for Kenny X-Men, or at least the X books, this is a good start. But I kind of wish they would have thrown in the issues where they team with the Ghost Rider. That would have been interesting. But this is still good. But the book only contains like 14 issues. What's the matter? You couldn't squeeze in about 3 more? Yeah, it's really weird. Maybe that, or probably Marvel didn't want people to pay like $40 for a trade. I don't know. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Yeah, and those of you curious though, that's 90s era Jean Grey costume. Yeah, for some people who watch the X, for a lot of people like myself, this is the first costumes I've seen these characters wear. Yeah, because I actually watched a little bit of the X-Men animated series in the 90s. Fantastic series, by the way. Angel himself only showed up for roughly one episode. He showed up for like a few episodes of the series. He was never a member of the X-Men. If you want to think of one original X-Men who was part of the who was in the show, but he only appeared once, was Iceman. I'm like, how can you have X-Men series about Iceman? At least the X Evolution Iceman and Wolverine the X-Men had him, but not the X-Men animated series. Oh no, he appeared for one episode. He appeared in a flashback, another episode. Like, he physically appeared for one episode out of the entire series. I'm like, Iceman, one of the founding members of the X-Men, and yet throughout the series we had Beast, Jean Grey, Cyclops. We had Angel show up, but no Iceman. Heck, Angel he was not a member of the roster. Angel just popped up now and again and had this bitter vendetta against Apocalypse, even though technically that was Cable's stick. Though the series did bring about the first time on the comics, not only Bishop, but Cable and Apocalypse as well. And a lot of the X-Men characters, by the way. Yeah, so it was good the fact they did it for that series, but that's never series another time. But this is really good. Interesting though, they decided to start with they collect like the whole first. This issues came up from October 1981 to I think it's October of 1992. Yeah, the first year of the Scott Lobdell era of King X, which actually was a really good era from what I've heard. Okay, so that's particularly it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'm probably going to cover. I'm not sure what trades I'm going to cover, but it would definitely the episode be number 779 and Doubleshot number 673. Okay, but see you there. Bye.